LHi Insights. We're obviously in Miami and we're joined by a very special guest and recently promoted US MD of the East Coast, Mr. Kev Cooley. Thanks for joining.
Thank you for having me.
Really excited to get into this. I'm sure you're as excited.
I can't wait.
Good. A little get to know you. I really appreciate your time. So 9.5 years at LHi. When you first joined LHi, what was the mindset that helped you succeed and grow into the man you are today?
Well, I think the biggest thing for me when I joined LHi is we were a startup company in New York with big ambition and a lot to go after, but required a hell of a lot of work. And the mindset I had was say yes to every opportunity and try and outwork everyone. And you know, I think the culture we've created inside LHi Group is to promote from within, and you know, in a lot of times it's to give people the opportunity to do jobs they've never done before, and expect them to grow into it with the right level of support. Yeah. And I certainly benefited from that over the last 9 years. I think you know, always tried to take on as much responsibility as I can, even if it wasn't part of my day-to-day role, to ensure that I was putting myself I guess in the shop window, so that if my bosses saw the work I was doing and bigger opportunities came up, they would think of me. And if I wasn't sure I was ready or not, I would still say yes and really try and embrace that new opportunity. And thankfully, and I'm very grateful to say that it's sort of paid off for me so far.
Looking back over that last 9.5 years, what would you say you're most proudest of to date?
I think over the last 9.5 years, I mean, there's been a lot of really good moments, but I think probably this is maybe I'll go slightly left field on this to start. 2023 was probably the most challenging year I've had in the job to date. The market was very difficult. Morale was probably a little bit lower because the market was difficult.
Well, across the industry, right?
Absolutely. And I think how we responded to that off the back of a really challenging moment is certainly the proudest I've been in my career. I think supporting all the consultants in the office through those challenging times, and then sort of creating a culture where we embrace the challenges and still try and aim for high performance in everything that we do, culminated in us creating a new leadership team for New York, which I can say now is the best leadership team I've ever been part of. And it was a mixture of internal talent we promoted into jobs, which maybe some of them weren't quite ready for, as well as hiring some really talented people externally. Meant that we created this leadership team that had diversity of thought, thinking, and really tricky moments to bring us through to an incredible performance over the last 18 months, and has got us to where we are now.
So just focusing on New York quickly, because I know your role is both offices. How would you describe the New York office and the leadership team that you've created over that time?
Yeah, I think the leadership team in New York is an unbelievable team made up of just really good people, first and foremost. I think, you know, when I was looking to create this leadership team in New York, I wanted to retain what we have internally, which is high performance, but also maintaining the high standards that we have as a business. So promoted some people within the organization into the leadership team. But I also wanted new ideas and fresh perspectives. And I went to the market to identify some really talented external leaders to bring them in, who could complement what we already have. And what we've done now is create this team which is super supportive. They challenge each other. They've got diversity of thought, diversity of thinking. But first and foremost, drive the best possible performance and drive the office to be the best versions of themselves day in and day out. And I think that's culminated in just an incredible performance in 2024 and a fantastic year so far in 2025. And it's no accident. And fundamentally, I think the one thing that stands out to me is just the good human aspect of the New York leadership team.
This is your first time in Miami, right?
First time for work, yes.
Cool. We won't go down that road.
No.
What stood out to you so far about the Miami office, and what makes this a unique opportunity for anyone considering a move?
I think the energy walking into that sales floor is unbelievable. I love small startup offices and the environment that can be created. I think you have a sort of single vision, single goal of trying to build something together. So everyone's got that sort of all-in mentality, which I think you need when you're trying to get a business off the ground. It's an unbelievably high-performing office with some super talented people, but that doesn't always necessarily translate to a fantastic sales floor. But walking in there today, everyone was so welcoming. There was a real energy and buzz across the floor, people talking about lots of different processes and things going on. And I think if you can harness that and continue to add really good talent into that environment, the office will just continue to grow. And I think if you combine that with the opportunity of the markets, which we see down in the Miami office, I think there's no surprise that they're the number one performing business unit in the company globally.
We talk the passion that you have for leadership. What's your approach been to building leadership teams in the US?
I think first and foremost, you need to have a group of people that are willing to maintain and uphold the standards that you have for your business. And I think that are passionate to do so. I think finding people with the right blend of commercial skills as well as emotional intelligence is critical. I think, the best recruiters, the best salespeople are not always the best leaders. And I think understanding that and putting people in positions that complement their skills is very important. I think I spoke about it already, but finding people internally that are willing to take on bigger jobs, even if they're not quite ready, and going into leadership with the right level of support that I can offer and my leadership team can offer has helped. And I think complementing that with different opinions and thoughts from external leaders that we brought into this team has meant that we've just fostered and created a leadership team that is focused around high performance, focused around people doing the best they can do, and always pushing for the best level of performance and people being the best versions of themselves. And so far, it's been going really well.
How would you describe a cultural architect?
I think someone that embraces and leans in to what you want to create as an office environment. Every company is slightly different in terms of what type of culture they want to create. I think for me, an office is like a bit of an ecosystem, right? Like anyone that you bring into an office environment can add to it, but can also take away from it. And so that makes hiring extremely important, and it makes the people in the office who welcome those new hires even more important. And I think once you set out the culture, the values, the mission of your business, you want people that will reflect that day in and day out. And so for me, a cultural architect is somebody that will embrace that and lead from the front with that every day.
So having been in the US and specifically New York for 12 years, what advice would you give someone considering a relocation to New York or to the US generally?
I think the number one thing for me is embrace the culture. I think no matter what city or country you move to, lean in. Every city has its quirks. New York has a lot of quirks. I think the more you realize that every city has good, bad, and ugly, and you want to understand that, the more it becomes and feels like home. I think the thing that really stands out for me at the minute in the industry is I think a lot of people move country with the thought process, I'll give it a couple of years and see, if I enjoy it, I might stay. But inevitably, they have a thing in the back of their mind where they're going to move home. And I don't think you can ever be truly settled in an environment. And I think that can seep into your work then. And your mindset is always probably not fully at ease. So I'd say understand your city, the food, the culture, the people, embrace it, lean in, get to know it, and all its quirks. I think in New York, I did that very early on, and it felt like home instantly. And I very quickly realized I never wanted to leave. And just being in Miami for the last couple of days, like very different to New York, very different city, environment, culture, but already somewhere where I can imagine you can really lean into, get to know, and really create an amazing life for yourself here. And those are the things that I think are important. I think if you're happy outside of work, then you'll be happy inside of work.
In the last 17 months, you've stepped into the best hood going, which is parenthood. Congratulations, and
Thank
welcomed
you.
your baby daughter, Jude, into the world. You've spoken about supporting leaders and parents in the workplace. What does that actually look like in practice, though?
I think the big word that comes to mind is understanding. And maybe it's, certainly over the last 17 months, I've had to understand. I think becoming a new parent was the biggest challenge I've faced to date in my life for me and my wife. And I think it's amazing, obviously, but it's a full-time job in itself. And I think me now having an appreciation and understanding of that, I think it's my job now to pay it forward to the people that are coming through the business and going through that same journey, as was given to me by the leaders above me. I think having open communication and trust with my leaders up and down means that, appreciating what a parent goes through. Every single kid is different. Every journey is different. Their experiences are going to be different. And so what they need in different moments varies dramatically. And your job isn't to question it, it's to support and be there for those individuals to ensure that, they know they're supported, so that they can take care of life outside of work. And in the long run that they're going to focus and look after what they need to inside of work. And I think any new parent goes through a big transition in that first sort of 12 to 24 months. And all you can do is as a leader, I believe, is to be as supportive as you can, offer the flexibility that's needed when appropriate, and support them in what is the best journey that any person can go on in their life. So, I think if I was to summarize what I think is probably the most important is pay it forward. And I mean that if somebody decides to stay inside LHi or whether they go on to work at a different organization, I hope that the experience they felt from working with me and how they were supported, they'll be able to offer other people in future also.
Great way to finish.